Let's get one thing straight. Donald Trump is not an ally to Venezuela whatsoever.
Well, surprise, surprise, Trump lost the Nobel Peace Prize to a Venezuelan woman named Corina Machado.
The person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. That a very nice thing to do.
These are the type of women Shira 7 keeps on telling us every single day that they are big measures. No, because what do you mean you get chosen over DJT and you dedicate your award towards him on X? What do you mean you get an award over DJT and then you go on X and say, I did not deserve it, Mr. President, you deserved it?
Let's get one thing straight. Donald Trump is not an ally to Venezuela whatsoever. After Maria Corina Machado won the Nobel Peace Prize for her work in trying to dismantle the Maduro dictatorship in Venezuela, the first thing she does is dedicate it to the Venezuelan people, as she should, but also to Donald Trump, claiming that Trump has been the strongest ally to Venezuela's fight for liberation from the Maduro dictatorship. And that is just a massive lie. Because if Donald Trump was truly such an ally to the Venezuelan people, then tell me, why did he go to the Supreme Court time after time after time to advocate for them to allow his administration to strip Venezuelan migrants of every single pathway to legal status here in the United States? He successfully revoked temporary protected status from Venezuelan migrants, successfully revoked the humanitarian parole program, deported hundreds of Venezuelan migrants to a third country, to El Salvador in particular, and to El Secot, one of the worst prisons in the entire world, despite the fact that many of these Venezuelan migrants entered the country legally, and almost all of them, the vast majority, had zero criminal records. If he was such an ally to the Venezuelan people, why has he persecuted Venezuelan migrants, demonized them on the media, done all these disgusting things to go after them? Simple answer, he's not an ally to anyone but himself and his pockets. You guys need to think and analyze situations in the big picture. Donald Trump is a con man, a fraudster, a criminal, okay? This guy does things for his own personal benefit and for his ego, because there's nothing he loves more than having Maria Corina Machado tell him, oh, you should have won this. Oh, you're the one that has helped Venezuela so much. Come on, bro. Just notice how Maria Corina Machado has been so quick to praise Trump and say that you deserve the Peace Prize, not me, whatever. But she hasn't said anything about the treatment of Latino migrants, specifically Venezuelan migrants, in this country by the Trump administration in particular. A group of people that Trump has persecuted and targeted specifically, even more than other Latino immigrants.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, the Nobel Peace Prize, DJT wanted it so bad. He actually thought he would get it just the way President Obama got it. But unfortunately, this year, they announced somebody else, a woman from Venezuela. And guess what? People go happy, yay, DJT did not get it. Just for yesterday to put up a post on Twitter and say, I did not deserve this. Mr. President, I dedicate this for you. She has aggravated a lot of Venezuelans on the internet because our own people saying, are you okay? No, tell me you're delulu without telling me you're delulu. Do you know what this man is doing to us in the United States of racism? Do you know he got eyes throwing us in jail? People were missing. Hello, alligator Alcatraz?
The person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. That a very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me though. I think she might have. She was very nice, and I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. All of the transactions that we did in terms of closing, but there are those that say we did so much that they should have done it, but I'm happy because I saved millions of lives, many millions of lives.
While everyone is celebrating the fact that Maria Machado won the Nobel Peace Prize over Donald Trump like it's some victory for us here on the left in the United States, I'd like to remind y'all that this woman has dedicated the Nobel Peace Prize that she just earned to Donald Trump. I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. And listen, you might think she's working towards a noble cause, and I may not disagree with you on that, but this is an insane thing to do. I don't care who she is. If you want to celebrate the win of Maria Machado today, then that's fine. Totally fine. I'm not going to judge you for that. But if you're celebrating her win because she beat Trump, you probably shouldn't be doing that, because she's a big fan. Big fan. She's also a big fan of what we've been doing in the Caribbean to all those boats filled with Venezuelan civilians and Colombian civilians, which I don't know if she cares about them or not.
This is the nonsense black people be talking about on the internet every single day, that it be your own to betray you 24/7. Tell me why we got people of color from South America being kicked out by ICE, being treated like nothing, like pigs on the streets, being thrown out like dogs by DJT. And we got one of their leaders thanking DJT. You see what she just did? It's exactly what has landed Latinos, Mexicans, Hispanics in the position where they are. Being thrown on the streets, outside their houses, being kicked away and deported by DJT and ICE back to their home country. You know what that's called? Desperacy for whiteness. DJT can see that they were so desperate to be white. He reminded them they're not. They're people of color. Just for their leader to kiss his behind on the internet saying, Mr. President, I thank you for all my life. I shouldn't have won. I don't deserve this, really.
And they decided to dedicate it to President Trump because he deserves it. Because not only has he been involved in only a few months in solving 8 wars, but his actions have been decisive to have Venezuela now at a threshold of freedom after 26 years of tyranny that have destroyed the lives of millions of Venezuela, destabilized the region, and undermined the institutions in the United States, because having Venezuela as a safe haven of the enemies of the United States and using our territory and our resources to hurt the American people and American institutions is certainly a threat to the national security of the United States and the security of the hemisphere. But President Trump has been very clear, courageous in terms of dismantling this criminal structure. And on behalf of the Venezuelan people, I reaffirmed our gratitude and our commitment to this cause for the whole America. So I insist he deserves it.
So the winner of the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize has been announced as Maria Corina Machado from Venezuela. Maria Corina is the opposition leader to the military dictatorship inside of Venezuela. A lot of people online, myself included, were celebrating the fact that she won because Donald Trump, who is a famous war criminal, desperately wanted the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's bombed Venezuela illegally. So it was good to see a Venezuelan actually get the prize instead. We were all pretty confused when she fired off this tweet, right? This recognition of the struggle of all Venezuelans is a boost to conclude our task to conquer freedom. We are on the threshold of victory, and today, more than ever, we count on President Trump, the people of the United States, the peoples of Latin America, and the democratic nations of the world as our principal allies to achieve freedom and democracy. I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. Now, why would the person that won the Peace Prize in Venezuela praise a war criminal that has done war crimes specifically to Venezuela? So I was forced to look into her a little bit more, and it's not looking too good, guys. Because people in my comment sections were saying that she was a gusano. A gusano is basically a slur for any counter-revolutionaries. It originated with Fidel Castro. It basically means traitor. And they're calling her this for a couple of reasons, right? Number one, she's a Zionist. I think being a Zionist in 2025 should disqualify you from the Nobel Peace Prize. That's just my personal opinion. Reason number two is that she is very in bed with the oil companies. Now, again, I don't know the full political landscape of Venezuela, but it looks like their people aren't too down for the oil industry. They think they're corrupt, so her being an advocate for them makes her questionable. And then finally, this is probably the worst, but Maria Corina Machado actually said that she likes the fact that Donald Trump was committing war crimes against Venezuela. She likes the fact that in all likelihood, the Trump administration has been bombing innocent people in her country. So
despite the fact that what she's advocating for is almost undoubtedly better than like Maduro's regime, I don't know if she's really that peaceful, to be honest. And at first glance, you could say, okay, well, maybe she's just kissing up to Donald Trump as a strategy, right? Because if she kisses up to Donald Trump, she'll be more likely to be the next leader of Venezuela. And then it kind of all circles around, right? Because the Trump administration is ultimately trying to depose Maduro as the leader of Venezuela. They put a bounty on his head. They're bombing his country. It even looks like they're going to do a larger scale war in Venezuela for a regime change, which basically means they're going to do a war so they can put a different person in charge. And it looks like Corina Machado wants to be that person.
The Nobel Prize has turned into a political tool for Netanyahu's empire. The winner of the Nobel Prize was Maria Corina Machado, a Venezuelan politician who signed a contract of cooperation with Netanyahu's Likud party. If she takes over Venezuela, she promises to crack down on anything anti-Semitic, help Blue State, and make Venezuela part of ZOG. She won the Nobel Peace Prize just for her attempts to try to overthrow Venezuela's current leader, Nicolas Maduro. The Blue State Empire has been trying to replace Maduro for a long time, even using America to try to force a regime change like America did for Blue State to several other countries in the Middle East, even offering a $50 million reward for Maduro's arrest. They want Venezuela part of ZOG really bad. But they're trying to give Machado the Nobel Peace Prize to add legitimacy to her bad intention movement. During a year of G-side and intentional famine, the Nobel Prize Committee overlooked a lot of peace-trying real heroes to give the reward to boost a pro-Likud party rebellion in Venezuela. This is too outrageous. To show how compromised the Nobel Prize Committee is, they have given 22% of all Nobel Prizes to Jewish recipients, while they only make up 0.2% of the world's population. That statistical impossibility only shows their political bias. The Nobel Prize is for political favoritism and has no more legitimacy.
I don't think anyone should be surprised that the Nobel Peace Prize winner dedicated her award to Donald Trump. It makes sense once you understand how these awards work. Most of these awards come from Western institutions that were never built to really challenge power. In my opinion, they were generally built to preserve power and the status quo. Regardless of intention, awards like the Nobel Peace Prize, the Pulitzers, and other humanitarian-type titles were created inside systems that define what's considered good, civilized, or peaceful through a Western lens. Think about how many people have been erased by that framing, like activists from the global south, organizers on the ground, people who don't have the language or the privilege to fit that polished image of peace according to mostly Western standards. It rewards those who manage conflict and not necessarily those who end that harm. That's why many recipients have military, governmental, or state-sanctioned roles. They're seen as peacemakers, but only within the framework of the same systems that allowed or caused the conflict in the first place. In 1973, Henry Kissinger won the Nobel Peace Prize while the Vietnam War was still happening. In 2009, Barack Obama received one at the very start of his presidency, and even the Nobel Committee admitted it was more for hope than for his actual results. Later, his administration expanded drone warfare. It just shows how these awards often run on appearances and symbolism and not actual substance. And now, Maria Corina Machado, the Venezuelan opposition leader, won the Nobel Peace Prize and publicly thanked Donald Trump for his decisive support when he's actually wreaked havoc overseas and at home. That's why I've stopped seeing these awards and the people who receive them as proof of their character. They don't necessarily reward integrity, but they do often reward the status quo. Meanwhile, the people doing the most life-saving work rarely get invited into those rooms. Maybe we need to start looking at these awards a bit more critically, and we won't be surprised anymore.
And meanwhile, how Venezuelan people were still angry, American people brought out the files and say, we have seen you in the same room with Netanyahu and DJT. Could this be a plot? Was it gonna look so obvious if they give it to DJT? We've seen Netanyahu literally say, I nominate you, Mr. President, for the Nobel Peace Prize. DJT has wanted this prize for so long, ever since Obama got it. Obama woke up on the internet and he said, well, I woke up and my daughter said, Daddy, you have won the award. And he was like, oh, okay. But now we got DJT, who lives in a movie, stage character or rehearsal every single day, wanting to get this award so bad. He doesn't get it. They give it to a woman, and she turns her deluludness into thanking almighty DJT that she's even existing, like she doesn't deserve it. Anyway, y'all let me know what you think in the comment section. We were so happy But then the excitement is gone.
Everybody that was a candidate to be a Nobel Prize to be considered this year, their applications had to be submitted before January 31st of 2025, which means President Trump had just been president for 11 days. You can't nominate him. He hadn't done anything yet. You know, President Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize 8.5 months of being a president. You know what that means? That means 2 weeks after he became president, they started nominating him to be considered as a Nobel Prize winner.
Wow.
So even though we say he won the Nobel Prize only 9 months later, he didn't. He won it 2 weeks later. Think about the madness of people who nominated him 2 weeks later, and you have a guy here that is stopping all the wars that started under Biden, you know, whether it's the Ukraine, Russia that he's still dealing with, whether it's the, Hamas, Israel. Think about the stuff that he's doing, but the level of hypocrisy. The one person I will give credit to is, I thought it was such a beautiful moment where Maria Corina Machado, who ends up getting the Nobel Peace Prize, in her tweet, she did something that Obama should have done. She gave credit to the president and the White House, and that's how class looks like. Good for Maria Corina Machado.
So the Nobel Peace Prize, it's a joke now, right? I mean, so I get the Nobel Peace Prize has always had low standards. Like, look at Henry Kissinger. Like, he received the Nobel Peace Prize, never should have received it. And now we've given it to Maria Machado. Why? And you're thinking like, oh, she's a Venezuelan woman, like that's good, she is doing so good. This is a woman who openly has supported Israel's far-right Likud party and stood beside European fascists like Geert Wilders and Marie Le Pen. This is who we're cheering. She was literally at a conference with them calling for new Reconquista. That was a phrase born from ethnic cleansing of Muslims and Jews in the 1500s. Tell me how that represents peace. How did she win the Nobel Peace Prize? The Nobel Committee has become nothing but a prop now. A PR show where the power... It's just a stunt. It's a PR stunt. The powerful hand each other medals and clap each other on the back for maintaining control. It's not peace. It's performative. It's a performance for us. If this award actually held meaning or actually meant something, it should have gone to Greta Thunberg. That woman who put her body on the line for peace and justice and humanity and was arrested on the flotilla for trying to deliver aid to Gaza. Everyone on the flotilla, I think they all deserve it. It shouldn't just be a one-piece person. It should go to all of them. That's courage. That is humanity. That's moral consistency. Nope, that's not what happened. They decided to reward another politician, another person in power who cheers on oppressed abroad and calls it freedom while at home. So, no, we should not be cheering her on. We shouldn't wait and see. We should be angry because the Nobel Peace Prize isn't about peace anymore. It's about keeping power comfortable and selling it to us like it's virtue. That's what it is.